webinar topic is on creating a compelling new customer offer. So we did a bit of a deep dive, Chris, on what a lot of our existing Punchpass clients are putting out there as their welcome or intro offer. I think we've learned a lot and explored some different opportunities, and also noticed that many people are not doing this. So kind of decided to we had a blog post and put together this webinar to hopefully provide some good information on really how to create this and what to do, some next steps. And I think it's going to be pretty valuable information, as well as some sort of little examples of what our users are doing successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, that's a little bit of an overview. We're definitely going to talk about some features in Punchpass that you can use to make this offer work well for you, to automate some of the experience that not only you, but also the new customers coming in will experience, and ways to kind of not just take them into the new offer, but also next steps and how to keep going as a customer on at your studio. And we'll definitely do questions at the end, but feel free to write in to the chat, because if we notice it and we can reply right away, we can do that, but we can also cover it at the end. Just quickly, we should probably do introductions, Chris.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm the
in case you don't know.
Chris.
And I'm head of onboarding and support at Punchpass. My name is Victoria. All right. Well, I think we should dive in here.
Yeah, let's go.
So first of all, we should talk about why we want to offer this, or why we should consider setting up a new customer special. Definitely, if you're looking to grow, this is a pretty key feature that we see a lot of studios and a lot of people in the fitness space use. The idea is basically, how do I get someone to think less about trying us out? How do I make it, eliminate some barriers? Basically be like, oh, why wouldn't I do that? And some of that is the idea of a discount, reducing that financial commitment so they can sort of try it before they really commit financially. And then it also helps signal that you're accepting new people. A lot of fitness studios don't operate like a doctor's office where you might have to call ahead and like, are you accepting new patients? But it's nice to highlight, that yes, we are welcoming you. We do want new people. If that's something that you're looking to do, you can signal that to your community as they're exploring your studio, and they feel like they're welcome to start and try and begin, and not be maybe experts at something yet.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think you're going to see the theme through this presentation is a lot of new customer offers just focus on the financial commitment, and that's great. You should, but there's a lot more to making it an enticing offer, and making it an offer that, or not just an offer, I should say, a process that will win you a new long-term customer, because that really is eventually the goal. So that's a lot of what we're going to cover here, is not how should you price it, but how should you make it work?
Right. Yeah. Because there's a lot of factors when it comes into pricing. But I'd say even more than that, one of the big things about the process is letting people know you have an offer. The number of people I noticed when we've done, research on our data that have a pass that's set up for, new customers, and they don't have anything on their website or something like that's smacking me in the face when I check them out that tells me that they're offering this. So there's a lot of potential places where you can put this out there. And we just wanted to hit some of these and show some examples. I think one of the most popular ones, Chris, as we were exploring, is a banner just kind of at the top of your website that follows you around as people click through your website.
Right. And we'll show some examples of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just within the website, as people are clicking through, sometimes people will have they're like a separate page that's kind of directing people. That's like new, or like, new students click here, or something along those lines, kind of direct people where they want to go. Pop-ups, definitely an option. Kind of depends, obviously. Sometimes people have a negative association with the concept of a pop-up. but that's still an option. We'll highlight things to do on social media that can be really helpful to promote this offer. And then also just to not forget about your in-person potential. If you're putting up posters or flyers, you might always, consider the fact that you want to direct people to that new offer or new page that you have on your website promoting your welcome message. QR codes are a great way to do that. And also if someone happened to be walking by your building, obviously this might depend on who you are, but I know as a dance instructor, sometimes I'll be having classes and someone will just like walk in and be like, what's the deal? And I'm like, man, we should maybe have something outside that helps direct people where to go if they're interested and want to learn more instead of
Yeah.
interrupting. So
It literally says, "What's the deal?"
yeah,
they,
exactly. What's
they
the
can
deal with
click it.
this QR code? Check it out. Yeah. Save you that time. And then not to forget that you have existing clients who might know people who would want to take advantage of this and to say, hey, I think my coworker would really like this. Let me send them, information about the new offer for someone who's just joining. And then I always like to throw out there, you have custom text at the top of your Punchpass schedule. And if at some, wherever they ended up clicking around, they end up on your schedule page, just a place to tell new people what to do. That's a great spot for that. And yeah, we'll see that in a few places.
Yeah, yeah. Let's run through a
Yeah.
few examples here.
Few examples. We've got Pilates room here. And yeah, they kind of lay it out. Here's what you're getting over how much time, and here's the price, which I think is a really clear way to explain that and just highlight that buy now, eliminate some choices. Just say, hey, here's the new thing. If you're checking us out, this is what we're willing to do. It's pretty clear, obvious, and it's right at the top of their page. So it's pretty convenient. This is Serpentine Studio, and they have just a nice, kind of here's what you should do. Here's where to start. Highlight it. Nice imagery. Includes again, what are you getting for how much, and what's the time frame, which I think are three key things to include in offers that you might be putting out there. I really liked this version of a pop-up on Activate Yoga and Wellbeing. They have one that pops up and it says are you nervous to try yoga? And, it kind of gives you a little information on what to know. And they kind of really go about giving you a feel of what the studio is like. It immediately made me feel like, oh, if I were completely new to the concept of yoga or, trying it out for the first time, I would feel pretty confident that this studio knows what they're talking about and would be welcoming to someone without that experience.
Right.
So I just really like that.
And one tip, actually, just go back to the pop-ups.
Yeah, of course.
I know a lot of businesses are hesitant to put a pop-up because it's, I don't know, nobody likes pop-ups, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but they work. They work. And so
Right.
one way to help sort of target new customers is oftentimes you can program your pop-up with whatever system you're using to come up, 10 seconds after someone lands on the page, 15 seconds. So that lets your regulars who are hitting your page, probably clicking on the schedule link or the login link and going on their merry way, versus the new customer who's going to come in and poke around and look around a little bit. Then the pop-up comes up. You're much less likely to annoy your regular customers.
And this is why we need you on this webinar, Chris, because
Quick tips.
I wouldn't know how to do that. But I'm glad you do. That's awesome. Yeah, nice. Yeah, and I think that's a friendly pop-up. Like a deal. What's not to like? Yeah. I love checking out some of our user social media sites. I like that our virtual dance hub, they offer and they highlight right away your first class is free. So if you're doing some kind of offer, it's really nice and easy to put that right in your bio, and then directing you to your schedule on how to join. So kind of a nice, just let people know when they go to your site, your social medias, places where they're going. I've done a lot of webinars on social media and marketing. One of the big ones is, if you've got one link that you get to send out to people, we really like the tool Linktree. And this is actually the Punchpass Linktree because we're doing this. So you notice the second thing we have here is sign up for our free trial and get 50% off your first paid month. So we're highlighting our new offer right in our link trees. So yes, we can send people right to our website. We can send people to our pricing. We can show off reviews, different things. You could show people your schedule, and you can send people to your website, and you can send like, check out our instructors, or then you might want to include one of the options, which is your new customer offer, and highlight that on a nice landing page here. So I'd love to get into the types of offers. So it is obviously a tricky thing to figure out, right? But I think considering how much money would it take to, to win over a new customer, to get a regular, because you're going to be giving some things away in a way, even if you're not doing a free trial, if you're going for a discount, some people are going to buy this and they're going to show up and then you will not see them again. So, there's going to be a couple people who, take advantage of the offer and then don't continue. And the idea is, how much are we willing to sort of give for that? We'll talk a little bit about, that free option versus a discounted rate. But I think it's really important to figure out, like, how long does it take for someone to really buy in? And I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm like, talk to your regulars. Ask some people who bought into your studio and to your classes and maybe to different instructors. Say, like, when did you decide that you were going to be a regular here, that you were signed up for the membership? What kind of got you hooked? How much time did that take? Because that's a good way to structure your new customer offer. If people are like, oh yeah, probably in my third class, I was pretty much like, this is for me. We might want to say, hey, maybe offer 3 or 4 classes.
Yeah.
Depending on your schedule, it also matters a lot too.
I mean, the other thing, sort of, you could also think about the opposite of that is, how do your customers feel? How does a new customer feel after your first class? So if you offer, HIIT high intensity training, someone who's never done that before shows up and they do their first class, they might not feel so good the next morning, right? And so,
Yeah.
that's normal.
Yep.
And so if you're just giving a single free class,
Yeah.
maybe that's not the best first impression. You really
Right.
want to tell them, hey, it's going to take 3 or 4 classes. The
Mm-hmm.
first time it's going to hurt a little bit, but
Yeah.
once your body adapts to it, it's a completely different story. So
Oh, yeah.
setting the expectation ahead of time. But so that's sort of important to think about, you know, yeah, how many classes where someone is hooked, but also what's their impact after one class, having never done it
Yeah,
before.
that's true. Yeah. And, first one's always the hardest. You're so nervous. Like, there's a lot going on. Um, yeah, definitely. Um, And I think what I also like about some of the offers that we'll talk about is giving you access to the variety. So if you offer different types of classes, so like if you're doing HIIT, but you're also doing like slow flow or yin yoga, you might want to give your new offer kind of a little taste of everything, so that they get to sort of establish what of your offerings is going to kind of hit with them, because they might fall in love with everything, which would be amazing, but some people are going to find their niche and stick with it. So giving them that, think about the offerings that you're providing with your new customer offer, in terms of classes. And then it's worth checking out the competition. Most studios in your area are probably offering something like this. So if someone is giving, you know, a lot away, it's just something to keep in mind. You might not want to match everyone because you're going to want to make good decisions for yourself and your studio. But it's good to have a sense of what's kind of going on in your area. It's always worth checking out. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to think about what kind of classes you offer. How much are you willing to sort of give away in order to kind of get people hooked? And then, how long you think it's going to take. Yeah, and that's where that first class free, it really depends. Some people really like it because it's like, hey, take a first class just to try it out with basically you know, no worries. And that's where like an online class, kind of love that because it's all online. Like that feels reasonable. Try it out, check it out. You could always kind of follow up with that with another offer to kind of lead them into becoming a regular. But if you're doing like a lot of in-person classes, the first class free might be tough, especially if you're doing some things with like very limited space or equipment, like reformer Pilates might not get, your first class free. Um, but you might want to look at, maybe giving a discounted rate to different things. So, you could do an unlimited for a certain amount of time. That's pretty popular. We definitely see that. But again, depends on the type of classes you offer. I would also say something that if you're doing a discounted rate, make it so clear and obvious, like how much they're getting. Because people, I mean, I'm not a math person, but I can see 4 classes for $40. I can work out how much is each class and what kind of discount rate it is compared to, say, your drop-in rate. So seeing that number and being able to identify that is definitely helpful to do. And don't be afraid to change it up. If in January you want to offer something and in March you want to do something completely different, that is totally fine. Just think about, what you have to offer and maybe seasonally what makes sense for you. But you can change it up so it's not the same every time. Definitely something to consider. Great.
Yeah, you're getting some
I'm getting some chat. I was like, oh, what am I missing?
Yeah, no, yeah, and certainly, we don't want to. If you aren't offering a first class free and you think it might work, you should try it. Absolutely,
Yeah.
because certainly it can help. There's the idea of if someone has bought something, there's a little more commitment. They're a little more likely to take advantage of it and come in. If you also, like we talked about, if you really think taking 3 classes is going to get someone more hooked, then that's something sort of well. But this, I guess I'd say, take all of this with a grain of salt, and you need to test it, right? And that's
right. Exactly, and that's where you can change it up. So you may be like, okay, let's do 2 months with first class free and see what kind of numbers we're getting,
right.
and then maybe do a couple months where you're doing just kind of a discounted rate for 3 classes and see if that shifts. That's something where you can definitely test it out. And try new things because you never know. Just make it interesting. Because someone might have been like checking it out and then, oh, they're actually doing this new special. I can just try it for free. That's kind of cool. It might get someone who is thinking about it and now they're in the door.
Yeah. And we see first class free also helps a lot if you're a studio and you're offering something new. So you're a yoga studio and now you're offering Pilates classes. So you want to entice your yoga regulars maybe to come in and try your Pilates classes. So you can sort of offer a free class of a certain type to try and sort of, get business from your existing customer base.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's take a look at some offers we liked. I didn't make up the 4 for 40. I just, we saw that for one of our Punchpass users, Soul Spray, they do 4 for 40. And I just like that number. It made me go like, oh, I can do the math. Feels like a good deal. Immediately I'm like, because, I'm not thinking, I do the like, oh, $10 a class. That feels like, woo, that's so great. Seems like a really good deal to me. And I was immediately interested. So I like that one. I really like what Vital Beat did here. You can check out their banner. Their new client offer is 6 reformer classes plus unlimited yoga for $59. So what's really nice about that is that you get to try out a variety of things at their studio, but they're limiting you on the stuff that's a little bit, costs them a little bit more. Their space is more limited. A reformer class, you're kind of limited a little bit, but unlimited yoga. So now I get to try both things, see what I like. I kind of get 2 avenues to explore, or 3 if I like both. So, in terms of getting buy-in, I feel like that 6 reformer class for $59, 1 feels like a really great deal, and 2, it also comes with unlimited yoga.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll talk a little bit about like where are we directing people. So this is this is local yoga. It does a 2 weeks unlimited for 40, And, so one of the things I just wanted to emphasize is that they do a pretty good job of like, here's the banner, and then it takes you right to the purchase page where they have a nice description of like, this is what you get. This is the point of the pass. It's to, try out all of our drop-in classes, check out the styles and teachers that you might be into, and sort of join the community. So they're kind of looking at that time frame and opportunity to explore different classes. So again, you can see how different studios are kind of tailoring it to what they offer. If I have a bunch of different instructors, my offering might look a little bit different than someone who's like a single, this is my studio and I'm the only instructor. My new customer offer might look a little different. And, of course, like group classes versus private sessions, that also would probably look a little bit different. And then I love a January intro offer. They usually go really well. So this one was from our Rebels and Dreamers, their Pilates studio, and they were doing 4 weeks for $69 in January. So that's just about over, but it was nice to see. Yeah. But now they're going to have to switch to something else, right?
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
The January
I think
intro
your
offer is
resolutions,
over.
time to get back on track. Something like that.
Yeah. But then, maybe February is the like, maybe it's the Lonely Hearts Club or the couples pass or some kind of intro offer. You can get specific with it. You can play with it.
Right.
So we're going to dive into some of the features we have in Punchpass and how it works. So this is a bit about that process conversation of like, where are we trying to send people? And again, this is going to depend a bit on your studio. So sending them right to that purchase page where it explains in the pass description what they're getting is potentially a great option, right? I'm selling this offer. I want people to just, zero barriers to entry. They see it, they click it, they buy it. Quick. Which is nice because you're getting paid, but potentially, it depends on how many like nervous people might be showing up or checking this out. So I also love the idea of like a promo page on your website that's like, you can put in a lot more detail and, pictures and sort of text about what the experience is for a new person. So if you want to basically make all of the anxious people really comfortable, you might want to have a promo page which explains what they're getting and how they purchase with like the link to the purchase page, but also a little bit more about your studio, a little bit more about like what the experience is like, and just to really allay any fears.
Yeah.
We also work with studios who, the first step isn't like, hey, pay and book right now because of what they offer. So for instance, if you offer like, private sessions or personal training where it's really like goal oriented or very much like one-on-one, or, you do duets or trios or something like that, where you're like, we need to establish sort of a training plan and what's next and next steps. It's also okay if part of your new offer that includes like, here, you're going to get this deal, but you do have to connect with us first and like book a phone call, or we'll schedule time or enter your information here. That might also be part of your process before it gets to the payment part. But that doesn't mean you can't offer something to entice them to do that step. If I know that, okay, well, I'm going to make that the connection, and then after that, I'm going to get the special, maybe you need a little bit more buy-in in that way, but it's still part of the new welcome package. So I think that can still work pretty nicely.
Yeah, and the only thing to keep in mind with the contact form is just to keep it as short as possible, right? I mean, all you really want is their email address.
Yeah.
And, maybe a phone number if you're going to text them, but it's
Right.
just a way for you to get in touch with them. And then if they don't get back in touch with you, certainly then you can continue to market to them. But don't make that contact form from some long onboarding form.
Yeah.
And you can get to that information later.
Yeah. Make the contact first and then
Yeah.
follow up with all of that info. Yeah. Again, reducing barriers to entry as much as you can, even
Right.
if you do need to take a couple steps.
Yeah. In fact, I was just thinking of this contact form idea. I was visiting a local studio yesterday, and they offer sort of semi-private training sessions for women. But they have a very wide range of ages that visit the studio. Most of the customers are regulars. And so their new offer is, a contact and sort of a quick discussion. And part of the reason is if they have a 30-year-old woman coming in and wanting to work out, they don't want her to just inadvertently end up with the group of 80-year-old women regulars who
Right.
are there and are great clients, but that, there's not a match there
Yeah.
with the group. And so they want to not only get a sense of, what the new customer wants, but actually then sort of say, hey, here's a time slot that works well for
Yeah.
you.
There's going to be a
Yeah.
good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a perfect example of where you don't really want the just, join whenever. Want to
Yeah.
have
I
that
mean, and it
connection.
would be fine, but it wouldn't be the ideal
But yeah, you
situation.
can improve that first class
Yeah.
for that person
Right.
with a little bit of help. I love it. That's great. Just a couple things about some of the settings you can have if you're using Punchpass. So we have two limit options that I think are really helpful here. One is limit to new customers only. So what that means is that if they've ever had a pass on their account before, they can't purchase that pass. I like to make sure that's a little bit different than like limit one purchase per customer, because this might be an example of, if you're starting a new offering, you might want to limit one per customer and say like, oh, we normally do yoga, we're adding bar classes, and we might want to say, hey, anyone who's new to bar, can get this special deal, even if they're an existing client with other offerings. Also, it might be helpful to be like, okay, if I offer them a free trial pack, and then my next step is, hey, you get 20% off your 5-class package. We might want to have that set up, but limit it one per customer. So they get the free pass first, and then they can get the next discount, and just limit that one per customer.
Right.
So you can kind of,
And you can do this with free passes. Right.
oh yeah, also you can do it with free
Yeah.
passes too. Yeah.
And the other
Get a
advantage
little
there
help.
is then you would know who has taken advantage of that offer and claimed the pass,
Right.
but hasn't come into the class to take a class because the passes are still active. So those are then people you can
Yes.
market to. Say, hey,
Hmm.
you're interested in bar, but you haven't come in yet. How can we help you
Yeah.
get you here?
Yeah. Let's get going. Yeah. And what's kind of nice is that we've got a lot of email automations that can help you automate a lot of this process. So for instance, we have obviously after they make the purchase, so we can set up an email automation. So it's not the usual, it's not, like the regular emails you've got. It's like a very specific one that when you purchase this particular pass, you get this email with all the details, because you might not want to have like your regulars getting these messages, just the people who purchase this specific pass. And then another one that I didn't mention in this presentation, but Chris, since you brought up like, if you do that first class free, and you can automatically assign them a bonus pass when they sign up, and that can just be on their account. And then if they don't join a class, we have an automation for that too. If they don't,
Good point.
they get that pass, they don't attend for X amount of days. Here's an email. Would you like to join?
Good point.
So yeah, we can kind of put a bunch of these things together, which is nice. And that's all well and good. We love that process, but really the goal is to convert them to the next purchase, right? We're like, okay, yeah, we do want you to come in the door and start taking our classes, but we'd like you to keep taking our classes with maybe less of a discount. So a little promo. We are our next webinar in our series, which is going to be in February, is going to be we're revisiting some content we did years ago. We have a lot more to say now. Is how to roll out the red carpet for your new customers. There's a bunch of features in Punchpass, and there's a bunch of things that we've seen and we know can be really effective. So we're going to talk about that next month. But definitely review your welcome strategy with all of your instructors. What's the process when someone new comes in? How do you know? What do you do? Should we, talk to them and check in and maybe put in a little more work to connect with that person? We try to make that really easy. We have in Punchpass a little icon. We call him Sprout. It's a little happy plant. And when you're marking attendance and someone is attending their first class, great. We're going to let you know. You're going to see that little plant icon and you will know they're coming in for the first time. So I might want to show them the ropes. But also, if this is like an ongoing, special, and they have, again, like maybe they're doing 4 classes on this pass, during attendance, we also let you know what pass was used. So I can see here in this example is this person attended my class and they are on their welcome offer and there's only 1 visit left. So as an instructor, I could see that and be like, hey, maybe I want to like check in with them. Maybe I want to talk up another class or offering we have, or just, know that about them and keep an eye on it, because I can, try to make that conversion an easy next step for the newer customer, even if it's not their first time.
And you know where they are in their journey, right? If this was like the four visits for $40, you
Yeah.
know this is their 3rd visit, and so you can really be
Mm-hmm.
checking in with them. How's it going? In a different sort of conversation than this just being their first time.
Right. Yeah. So keep an eye out when you mark attendance. There's a couple other ways to make the next purchase really easy. We talked about automations a little bit. We also have some automations that can go out as soon as the pass ends, or maybe even a little after the pass ends. And it's a really good opportunity to walk them through the next step. Like, again, thinking about a process, they've taken up our new customer offer and it's over. Either it expired or they finished their punches, depending on what you have set up. What next? And, you might not want to just be like, hey, look at our purchase page and pick something, figure it out. What you might want to do is say, hey, if you've done our, 4 for 40, well, you might want to explore our 5 for whatever. That's our regular price. This is our like 5 credit pass. Or, if you really like it and you want to like take a bunch more classes, you might want to check out our unlimited monthly membership, and kind of give them options that make sense. And this is also where we could consider another discount. I wouldn't go for a super big discount here, but even something along the lines of like, hey, thanks so much for taking us up on our offer. We'd love to have you back. Here's a discount code for 10% off, or here's a new secret pass that's just for our like second round, so that you can kind of track that pass or track that discount. Again, it's up to you, but trying to make that next step really simple and easy, telling them where you want them to go next. And we can automate that. Because we could use our expired pass reminder. So as soon as it expires or is filled, they get this email, which is kind of nice. Just let them know where to go, what to do next, purchase the next thing, book your next class. I think this is a really good one, our comeback automation, where if this pass ends, and and you can specify this for a particular pass. So we can say, okay, our welcome offer pass. If after 7 days that pass is over and 7 days they haven't made a purchase, maybe we send them an email, and maybe this one is a discount code, or this one is like just a gentle reminder. But it's another way that you can automate some of this process, but still kind of come across as very friendly and keeping up with them, and certainly just keep track of what's going on. All right. So those are pretty much covering what we have to offer, what we're seeing out there with our client base. So really the kind of next steps we'd think for someone who's looking at this and checking out, attending this webinar, is to kind of do a self-assessment and review of what you're doing. So do you have a current offer, or what is your current offer? Where is it out? Where are you putting it? How can people find out about it? Great idea to use as a potential new customer, or maybe ask a friend or family member to give it a go and say like, hey, can you go to our website and walk through this, the process of signing up for the first time, and what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Where do you go? How does that feel to you? Like, have somebody who's completely out of the loop, maybe not someone like totally outside of your, community life, but someone who's not really been taking classes, give them a try. Say like, hey, take a look at this, check it out. Um, and so just to see how does it go from the point of here's my link, here's my website, to purchasing. And then also experience like walking through like, what do we do with people when they sign up for this? Do we have a plan with our instructors? Have we talked about that yet? About how to treat new people. Definitely make sure they know where the bathroom is, but you might want to like do so. Are we doing check-ins? Are we keeping an eye out on attendance for those passes and those people? And then, are we doing anything to guide them to the next step and the next purchase? Do we have any emails set up? Do we connect with people? Are we keeping track of that at all? So some things that you can kind of self-assess and then maybe want to consider tweaking and testing it out, right? So testing out a new offer, walking through those steps, trying it out for a couple months, and maybe try a different one just to see what feels like it's working, what feels true for you. And but after you do that kind of self-assessment or review, you can also reach out to us. If you're like, I don't know, I'm not really sure with my offerings, does this make sense? We're happy to take a look at kind of what you have set up and can certainly give you some pointers, which you can do reaching out to our support team in the chat or email us at support@punchpass.com. We'd be happy to help out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Chris,
think the last three on this list are really where, a lot of people make an offer and they'll put it on their website and a couple of other places, but maybe don't really think through the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. And that if you just take a little bit of time to do that, it can really make a big difference. And thinking through also about the next steps, because it's really much more than just how many people bought my new customer offer. It's how many people who bought the new customer offer bought my membership. That's really
right.
what we want.
So we love to see that. Yeah, exactly. Nice. So definitely some things to consider, and a number of things we will be talking about a lot more next month with our next webinar. So we're like, how do I guide them? We've got some ideas.
Yeah.
So I'd love to check out questions. I know, Chris, you've been writing in a little bit.
But if anyone has any specific questions, feel free to write in. Obviously, you can also write in contact support. We're pretty easy to get in touch with.
Yeah. We didn't talk too much about the membership discount code, and maybe we'll make sure to talk about that next month. But we do have the ability to offer a discount code on the first month of a membership. And sometimes that is, a really nice way to get people in. I think sometimes it can be a little intimidating to be like, I'm signing up for recurring payment without having tried the studio. I would say that's a really good one for like that next step. It's kind of like, okay, maybe I can get them into a couple classes or give them like that 2 weeks of like the experience of the membership, and then maybe discount the first membership month and move up from there. So it's kind of like, okay, I've tried it. I'm pretty confident. I get to try it again for still a bit of a discount. And now I'm locked in and ready to rock with this membership.
Right. And the other thing we find with memberships is being, and this is more of a policy decision, but in terms of how, what are your terms around the membership? Can you make your terms sort of as, I don't want to say lenient as possible, but, we see some language sometimes that's very strict and, you have to pay for a year and and this and this. And that turns a lot of customers off. And so it would be better in the end to have friendlier policy. It's month to month. You can cancel anytime, that sort of thing. And then keep an eye on it, and you'll start to get an average. On average, our customers are joining us for 8 months. Yes, that means some are canceling after 2, but that means a lot are sticking around for 16. And so the less of a commitment long term you can make it, while still getting the recurring revenue is the best way to do it.
And we do have like the ability to turn on like self-cancellation, which is probably, I'd say, is like the most lenient version of a membership, is allowing people to cancel it themselves. But sometimes just knowing that that's an option makes it really easy to sign up. Even if, do people really go through and make sure they cancel all the time? Not always, even if they have the accessibility. But it could be something to, especially if you're promoting that membership to newbies, being able to say, hey, you can cancel anytime, is sometimes that can be a nice elimination of that sort of barrier. So something to consider if we're talking about memberships.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone had written, although it looks like maybe it got deleted, a question about
Oh, yeah.
having a library of videos and sort of getting their customer base to be more engaged with those videos. And I'm not sure if the videos are part of sort of a free trial, like, watch the videos, that entices you to purchase or not. Videos are tough because it sort of usually needs to be in some sort of an email or something where this person sees it and sort of dedicates some time to watch it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's just being a little more aggressive about promoting them.
Yeah.
Obviously not over
That's
the top,
one.
but making
Yeah.
sure people know about it.
That's one where I would say a really good option is like, because sometimes it's just like, hey, just like make it super easy and obvious for them. If I was selling like a membership access to the content library, or like, hey, you get 1 month of access to the content library as like a welcome offer. I would say I would definitely create an automation, like an email automation for people who purchase that. And I would include directions on like, here's where you go. We actually have just been updating a lot of our how-to videos on YouTube, and we have one that is like a video how-to on accessing the content library as a customer. And so I would probably, like, if I was packaging this as like, my welcome offer includes access to these videos, in that email automation, I'd include that video on like, hey, want to access all these amazing videos you can check out? Here's the how-to. So it makes it like super easy, and like really try to be like, it's not hard. Here's how to do it. And like, it's a bit of hand holding, but if just an extra email, a little message, checking in, making sure they're testing it out, would be a great way to try to push that a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't see a lot more questions in here, but I think that's fantastic. We got some great ones, and hopefully this is getting some gears turning,
Yeah,
and,
that's the
and
point.
some
Get your
thoughts.
gears turning
Yeah, about like, how are we doing this? What's going to work for me, and not being afraid to try different things. I think that's the biggest thing. Is like,
right.
you can change it.
Yeah. If
You
you
can
go to your
try this
website,
for.
your new customer offer is the same as it was last year. You should change it.
Do something different.
Just to
Yeah.
try, just to see.
Just to check it out. Yeah. It's worth it. And it's not, it's a little bit of work, but it's worth it. If you've set it up and you're getting more people in, and you get a couple people moving from that to your membership, it's a great deal. And worth a little bit of time updating social media, updating your website. So we think that's worth it for sure.
Yeah. All right. 40.
But yeah, I mean, if you
47
have
minutes.
any
We did better this time,
questions,
Victoria.
yeah, we did a lot quicker. Excellent. So if you do have further questions, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to take a look at what you're working with, and talk a little bit more about this. And yeah, we're just pretty excited about, thinking about different offers and getting more people into your studio. And hopefully this webinar has given you some food for thought. And we will go ahead and finish up here. And just thank you all so much for your time. If you've joined us via recording, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And everyone enjoy. Thanks so much. And thanks, Chris, for joining. I hope you had fun.
My pleasure. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody.